Welcome back to the Nichols and Dime Show, everybody. I am your host, Chris Nichols. Today, I am excited to give you a special episode, and I'm going to start off with a surprise new style that I'm trying out in my look. Behold, I shaved my head. I'm going to spend a lot of this podcast talking about why I shaved my head, and hopefully it can resonate with other men out there who might have experienced balding. I think there's some beneficial things of trying out a new style in general. It doesn't mean you have to get rid of all your hair on your head, whether it's your choice or not. But the next thing I'm going to talk about is more about my business and recent survey I put out and how I analyze the results of a survey with potential customers and how you can leverage surveys in your business to get the results that you want if you're not seeing those results yet. Again, thank you all for being here. I want to start off with why did I shave my head? This has been something I've been debating and talking about for years. It's been something that is a very prevalent topic amongst my circle of friends. Of course, my group of friends were pretty outgoing people and direct people, and we like to make fun of each other. So this was certainly a main point of making fun of for me, the fact that I've been losing hair since my college days. I am so glad that I finally gave this a shot. It has been since probably my mid-20s that it's been a conversation of why I should shave my head or that I should shave my head. I'm 31 years old now. For years, this was a big insecurity of mine, the fact that my hair was balding. I'm pretty confident with just about everything else about me, but the hair was a struggle. So over the years, I've been losing hair, and I changed the hairstyle multiple times to cope with the hair loss. And my most recent hairdo that I settled with was making it very short on the sides and in the back, and then leaving a little bit on top and combing it over. But the problem was I'd look at myself in videos and in pictures, and if the lighting wasn't perfect, then you just couldn't see any hair right here because it was light and thin. So it looked pretty terrible. You had the horseshoe look where it kind of just wraps around your head like a baby girl's headband. On top of all this, I've been very comfortable with the, I guess, identity or the claim to being bald because I've just been hearing it nonstop from my friends for years, and I voluntarily make fun of myself for it. I got to a point where I really don't care anymore because it's been enough years. But I've still been at that point where it's like, why am I still doing this same stupid haircut? I need to try something new. And it started to frustrate me. So as I've been going through this life transition of moving on from my corporate career into entrepreneurship with my business and with this podcast, there's of course a lot of challenges that come along the way. And a lot of my podcast, the Nichols and Dime Show, focuses on the challenges that all the entrepreneur guests on my show have to overcome and what they learn from that. This is actually applicable to why I did this, why I shaved my head, because I believe that leaning into discomfort is the only way where you actually grow. If you force yourself to be in a hard situation, it's going to make you get better at something. It's going to force you to be resilient and to perform and to get better. I'm not saying that shaving your head is traumatic, but it is a big change, and it is something that I resisted for many years. And I think many, many men out there who struggle with balding experienced that. Yes, the hair transplant idea came up. I never too seriously considered it just because it's never really been my style. I'm learning as I'm doing this, and literally within the past 2 days of being bald, I am now noticing how many men actually shave their head out there. I'm just walking around the streets. I'm here in Santa Monica in LA, and I'm seeing bald guys everywhere. It's hilarious. At the gym, on the sidewalk, outside, it's funny. It's really not that big of a deal is what I'm getting at, especially with where my hair was before. A lot of people just thought I was pretty much bald because I kept my hair so short, and it just so happened that I had a little bit of hair up top, which most people just couldn't see. I think that's the number one thing I'm realizing here after doing this is that it's not a big deal and it's not a massive change. Just talking to some close people in my life and my family who are seeing me like this, it's pretty funny. It's almost like they're getting used to this different person who's the same person, where, it's just like somebody who changes their look. Let's say they get a new haircut or they dye their hair a different color. You look at them and it kind of throws you off, and you know them a certain way, and then it's just not what you're used to. So I also think that's a lot of it, for whether it's for yourself or looking in the mirror or for other people around you. It's just a matter of getting used to something, and then everyone, including yourself, will realize that you are the exact same person. These are just some thoughts to bring down the intensity of it if you're a guy and you're considering doing this. But for me, it just wasn't a big change because of how short I kept my hair before this. Some other things I'm realizing as I've done a couple days of shaving my head or keeping it very short like this, it's been It's a lot of work. So I'm going to have to figure out how I do this efficiently. Because once within a day or two, you're already growing it out, and it doesn't look great if it's growing out on the sides and you can't see the top, because that's the part that struggles with the hair growth. I'm testing this out. I'm going through a phase where I'm trying it out for a few weeks. I'm seeing how I feel, how I like it, how my life changes with it. And again, not to be too dramatic, but like I said, it's been something that I think a lot of men really resist for years. I did it. And one excuse I gave myself was, I'm not going to do this in my 20s. I'll do it when I'm 30. Here I am, almost 32 years old. I'm trying it out. So it's a good time to try it. More than anything, this is a practice of owning what you have to work with and who you are. Your hair does not make you who you are no matter what. But I do think that if there's something you can't control, you need to release the victim mentality and own it. But I'll be honest, just within the past few days of being bald, it's been a back and forth experience. Sometimes I look at myself in the mirror, I'm like, who the hell is this? This is weird. This is bizarre. Where did my hair go? What do I do? There's nothing I can do about it. And then there is moments of feeling very free. It is pretty cool. It feels good up there. The air just flows upon your head, and it's a nice feeling. Also, I can just wear hats, which I do usually most of the time anyway, so it doesn't really change my life at all when I have a hat on. One of my biggest insecurities with deciding to go bald is the category that people might put me in. I want to talk about this a little bit because this applies to so many things in life that I think everybody struggles with in some way, but it really comes back to worrying about what other people think. And I do believe this is something I've gotten so much better at in the past year of being more public with this podcast and doing over 60 episodes, being more active on social media. There's going to be judgment, and you care less. The more you do it, you learn to care less, and it doesn't matter. Also, this is something Alex Hormozy said once in a quote, which I loved, but he said in 100 years, or whatever it is, or in a few generations from now, no one will care about anything you did from your life. Like, especially something like this. I might be butchering the quote, but you get the idea. Life is really just a blink. I was doing breath work earlier this week, and one of the biggest things that came up to me was, what am I most proud of about my personality? And it's when I truly embody this I don't give a fuck mindset. It's not the I don't give a fuck mindset like you would find somebody who is slacking off in life, but rather the one you'd find in Mark Manson's book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And this really goes back to this idea of not caring about what other people think so that you can genuinely fully be yourself and give it your all, give it your best. Nothing's going to stop you from doing that and making the best impact you can in your life in this world. An immediate insight I had was linking this to my new shaved head in a sense of, hey, this is going to push me to be even bolder with my personality, with the work effort that I'm putting out, with my fitness and physique, and just the overall energy that I put out into the world and towards the people around me. There was a girl in our breathwork class who said something just so kind to me, and I'll share it with you because I'm hoping that this resonates with other guys out there who are struggling with this, and you might be surprised by how not bad it is, or actually how good it is, or how much it just doesn't matter if you choose to get rid of your hair or shave your head. This girl told me, wow, Chris, I didn't even realize you did it, which is another joke perhaps, because some people might argue, oh, Chris, well, there's not much of a difference. You're already bald. But what she said was, Chris, it worked for you for one, but two, it doesn't matter because your soul outshines your shaved head. That was such a beautiful compliment that I'm going to hold tight, and I share it with you just in hopes that some guys out there might hear this and feel more comfortable with the idea of changing your look if you need to, or girls, it can apply to any look that you've been thinking about for a while that you think you should do, that you want to try, but you're scared to do it. You might be surprised by some of the feedback you get. And I posted a story about it on my Instagram announcing that I went bald. I told everyone I feel like a fucking superhero. I was pretty confident and a little funny about it, but I was just trying to have fun and make a big announcement to see what kind of response I got and really own it, right? And the response was really good. Like, people were really supportive, and who knows how many of those people were just being nice versus being real with me, but appreciate it either way. Another thing I want to mention, this is really an individual journey about being who you are, being yourself, but it is helpful to have some people you look up to out there who embody something that is similar to you, right? Like, for example, I think I actually spent a lot of my childhood with a short buzz cut because I was such a fan of Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan's bald. People can get confidence from big public figures. I literally made a list of celebrities who are bald that I look up to just to cope with this new feeling, this new look, and say, oh, I'm a huge fan of his. He's a role model. I look like him. So that's cool. Two of the GOATs in podcasting who I look up to in so many different ways are Joe Rogan and Tim Ferriss. And both of these guys have owned the bald look for a while. And yet these are two guys, I love what they're all about. They're massively successful and they just have so many things about them that I strive towards. So it's cool to see those guys own the bald look. But in conclusion to this new shaved head look, I just want to serve as an inspiration to other guys out there who might be struggling with baldness and who are debating shaving their head because they're having a hard time with this idea of holding on to the little bit of hair they have left, and they think it doesn't look good, but they're scared to shave their head and they don't want to fall into this category or be judged or have assumptions made about them a certain way. But the big message I want to give back is, one, people care way less than you think, and then a message for you, who gives a fuck? Like, use it to motivate you to just be bigger in this world, be a bigger impact, bigger influence, bigger energy, bigger soul, bigger lover, everything. And intentionally put yourself in a place of discomfort so that you can grow and deal with adversity. Again, this is so small compared to so much out there. It's just shaving your fucking head. But sometimes we just make things like this such a big deal within our self-talk. This is my effort to help you calm that down and to try it and put yourself in a position where you don't have a choice if you feel a calling to try it out. And then you can reevaluate. A lot of these things aren't permanent and you can reevaluate. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm trying it for a little bit and we'll see if I want to go back and have hair again. Who knows? Anyway, I appreciate your support for the new look and I'm having fun with it so far. I'm still experiencing feedback and seeing what's out there, but it really doesn't matter. That's like the big challenge I'm putting on myself is I don't care what anyone says or thinks. Any good feedback I am so appreciative of and I'm thankful for. I am still getting after all the stuff I'm working on and I'm even elevating that just with this new fresh breeze of air that is going over my head. So anyway, I want to share a little bit about my business legacy capsule and a recent survey I put out because I've been trying to figure out the product offering and what works. So the 3 questions I asked in the survey were, 1, what would it take to ask one of your parents to do a custom podcast interview? 2, what price would you pay for this service? And 3, what's stopping you? What's your hesitation? I really dove into the responses and the conversations I have with people and gathered some interesting insights, which caused me to then create a frequently asked questions section on the website. And I addressed the main concerns in the FAQ section that I added recently. But one of the main hesitations I've come across is this concern around privacy or confidentiality. People would say, oh, wow, that sounds like such a cool idea, but they aren't getting over this hump of, oh, well, I don't think my parent would want to do that. They probably wouldn't want to sit down and share private details about their life with a stranger. So how did I address this? If you ask, is my custom video interview confidential? I say yes. Our custom video interview is privately recorded and securely hosted. It will be delivered directly to you as a customer, giving you full discretion to share it with whoever you would like. Another question you might run into is, what if my loved one is not comfortable sharing details about their life? The interview is hosted by a professional podcast host, acting as a trusted facilitator to help produce a memorable and impactful conversation focused on your loved one. The final product is intended to be shared with whomever they are comfortable with. So I'm working on the messaging to make people more comfortable with this. I also am working on selling myself as the podcast host so that people can feel comfortable having me sit down with them and ask about their life just for the purpose of your family and you enjoying it and keeping it as a memory, as a time capsule more than anything. And again, it doesn't matter how old you are. You can do a time capsule whenever you want. You can be 50 years old. You can be 80 years old. I do not want to imply that someone's time is coming just by doing this, which leads me to the next big hesitation that I ran into in the survey results. Even if people were down to do something like this or they would love to get a gift like this, they had a hard time asking their family member or their parent or grandparent to do this because they said, hey, this is kind of uncomfortable. So I don't want to imply that their time is coming soon, that they're going to die soon. And so that was a big realization for me that even though targeting people who are close to the end of their life might make it more of a need, it creates more friction in the buying process because they need to figure out how they're going to bring this up to somebody without being an asshole when they're trying to do something nice for a family member. But the way I address this concern is Legacy Capsule can be purchased for all ages. It is not meant to be a morbid experience, but rather to serve as a video time capsule representing the featured interviewee at the current moment. so that they can be appreciated and recognized for generations to come. We would recommend that you focus on making the ask around honoring their life accomplishments, stories, and experiences to date, which will turn into a lasting memory forever. Okay, so the third key hesitation or objection I'm running into so far that I want to address is, why should I get a legacy capsule if I can just record the interview myself? So this is a great question. And I think if you're not a podcaster like me or my other podcast friends, you might not fully catch this. You might overlook this dynamic that comes with having someone else do it. But the way I address this is, regardless of how skilled an interviewer you are, there is an immense uniqueness in having a third-party, unbiased facilitator host an interview about one's life story. There is often an unconscious bias when these conversations are had between close family members or friends, which bring out specific mannerisms or topic avoidances. Some of the most powerful feedback we have received has been around how much is learned by even the closest family members of their loved ones after watching a legacy capsule. So basically, there are things that we don't realize that we will naturally avoid, or certain mannerisms that come out when we're speaking to a direct family member. And like I said, you can be a big time podcaster, best interview in the world, but having a third party from the outside come and talk to your family member will likely get a totally different conversation and different information out of them in a way that you won't be able to do otherwise. So the survey I put out and having these conversations were very helpful in helping me to redesign the messaging a little bit and to change even just a few words here and there so that people can think of this or understand it totally differently. The work is going to continue, the adjustments are going to continue, but there is so much value in just asking directly to people, to your friends, whoever your target audience is, hey, if this product was free, why wouldn't you buy it? Or if price wasn't an issue, what would stop you from doing this? It's a powerful question, and I use that question a lot throughout my sales career because you really need to understand what the objection actually is aside from price. Price is just an excuse. If you can sell the value, then the price should reflect what they're getting. So anyway, thank you all for joining me for this solo episode of the Nichols and Dimes Show. We talked about why I shaved my head and hopefully why that should inspire you to try something new or try a new look, or if you're a guy who's balding, why it's maybe not as big of a deal as you think. And then 2, we talked about how to take customer feedback and to apply that to your business by changing the messaging, changing your marketing, changing your target audience, changing the offering, or just being open to constantly adjusting and shifting what it is you're trying to present out there, what service you're putting out there so that you can effectively go through your product and price discovery. Again, thanks for being here, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining me for this episode of the Nichols and Dimes Show. Please hit the subscribe button on YouTube and follow my Instagram page at Nichols and Dimes. The podcast Instagram page is at Nichols and Dimes Show. And please like any of the videos you come across on either platform and leave a comment, leave feedback. It helps me to improve and innovate and to continue to scale and bring more interesting guests to the Nichols and Dimes Show. Thank you all for the support, and we'll see you next time.